and then we both like it shows up, or like I guess we'll find
Yeah.
out.
Yep, we'll find out. And we're live now. Yay!
Awesome.
All right, awesome. Hi, everybody. I'm Christine Pini with David Ling Realtors, and I'm here today talking with Zoe Sanchez. We are going to talk about forbearance, mortgage forbearance. I know that's on a
Mhm.
lot of people's minds lately. Unfortunately, a lot of folks have found themselves in some financial hardships with the crisis. And so we're going to talk about some important points on this. So, Zoe, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so hi guys, and thank you, Christine, for having me on. I am a mortgage advisor and I'm local to the Santa Cruz community. Love Santa Cruz, love the area. Beaches is like my, who doesn't love the beach, right? So,
I know.
um, exactly. So I've
We
been in
should
the
say
business.
everyone.
Exactly. So, yeah, I've been in the business for a while now, and just, it's really comes down to helping people get into homes, and it's so fulfilling. It brings me so much joy, and
Yeah,
it's so much fun. I mean, you know what it's like,
I
and
feel the same way.
for life.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's so rewarding to help people get into their home, and it's
Mhm.
such a special thing. Home is just it's not just the four walls, right? It's
Right.
where we cook our dinners together, where we spend time, and right now where we're quarantined, and home is more important now than it ever has been. And so, what we're
Exactly.
talking about is staying in our homes
Mhm.
when we're looking at furloughs or a loss of income, etc. So I think we should start out chatting about like what exactly is a forbearance? Can you tell us what is that?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're hearing all these new terms, forbearance and deferment. It's like, what do they all mean at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Forbearance, really what it is it's a pause on making your mortgage payment. You're not skipping payments, it's just a pause or
Mm-hmm.
a possible, you're paying less than your normal payment. It really just
Mm-hmm.
depends on what you work out with your servicer. But what really a forbearance is either it's a pause on your payment or you're just paying slightly less than what you would be paying.
Okay. And does that get tacked on at the end of the mortgage? So, or is it amortized over the life of your mortgage? What are you seeing there?
Yeah, so the big difference between forbearance as a home loan distress option really
Mm-hmm.
is that what makes it forbearance is that all the payments that are temporarily paused are due at the end of that forbearance period. So
Okay.
for the next 3 months, April, May, June, for easy math, say your mortgage payment is $2,000 a month. If you are on forbearance for those months, for April, May, June, July 1, you're going to actually have four payments instead of three, because you're going to owe
Mm.
the past three that you've been on pause with plus July 1.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's good to know.
So
And
it's kind of
so,
like a balloon payment,
okay, that
is
makes
what
sense.
is what it is.
Okay, that might be difficult for some people. Are there options to amortize over the life of the mortgage or tack them on?
So
Have you seen that solution?
yeah, so that's kind of where, first off, like forbearance really is kind of like a measure of last resort.
Got
If
it.
you can definitely make that payment, pay your housing expense. If you can
Hmm.
come down on other expenses in your budget, do that, and then just
Yeah.
focus on making that payment. Because once you, tell your servicer that you want to use your right by the CARE Act to the forbearance, you don't want to just stop there and be like, okay, I'm going to be in forbearance, and once this period's over, like I don't really know what's going to happen, but it'll all work out. No, you want to make sure you have a plan set up for that after forbearance ends. You either have a loan modification set up with your servicer,
Okay.
or some sort of plan in place, loan deferment if you need to, where either you're going to make up those payments and pay a little bit more in your mortgage payment each month, or either extend your term possibly and pay a couple extra months at the end of whatever that term is.
I see exactly what you're saying. Okay, so
Mhm.
really forbearance is the last resort type of thing, but you should work out with a
Right.
lender something else. Okay, I understand.
Yeah,
Now, let's
absolutely.
say I'm I've lost my job, or my job is on pause for a while. I can't get to work. I'm seeing a reduction in income. And what would I need to bring to the table? What would I need to show my lender in order to qualify for any of these programs?
It's a great question. So it's going to depend on bank by bank and loan servicer by loan servicer, because what we're seeing right now is, and we have resources that we'll talk about later where I can point you to, you can find out for your specific bank what their policies and procedures are. But basically, some servicers are looking for you to provide proof that COVID-19, the shutdown, has somehow impacted your ability, your finances, things like that. And you have to demonstrate some sort of financial burden proof in that sense. Mm-hmm. Or other servicers are just requiring a simple affidavit that you would just sign and say that you want to take up this forbearance, right? It really just depends. Some are requiring that you show proof. Some are just requiring that you sign a simple letter, which is kind of scary, actually. And I don't know if I would, easily recommend or advise something like that, because you can easily just think that forbearance means forgiveness, and it's not the case.
Good information. That's really good for people to know.
Because lines at the end, make sure you know what you are agreeing to, and just know that if you can make that payment, do that, and really try to see if there's loan modifications where you can change your note or your term options before. And if you need to, use that as your solution A for right, and then go from there.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So that covers, a lot of the questions I had. Are homeowners still responsible for their mortgage payments? They absolutely are. Yeah. It just depends on when and how they negotiate that. And what I'm hearing is that forbearance, I'm hearing 3 months. Can you extend that? Tell me about that. Is that the limit?
Yeah. So basically, what I'm hearing right now is for the periods anywhere from 90 or 3 months to 180 days, 6 months. Okay. There may be a possibility, the government is saying up to 12, but right now what I'm only hearing really from servicers is that they're offering between the 90 to 180 day mark in terms of options.
And again, that's servicer to servicer. So if you have a loan with Wells Fargo, it's going to be different than, let's say, Chase.
Yeah, and what we're seeing is that the CARES Act provided guidelines, but each servicer, each bank kind of has their own interpretation to those guidelines and what they'll allow.
Got it. That makes sense. And now, one thing people should consider, of course, is their credit. How is this going to affect their credit if they ask for forbearance? Does that affect their credit score?
It's another really good question. Currently, my understanding and what I'm reading, what I'm hearing from other people who are directly, work with banks and things like that, is that if you are within that forbearance period and you make the full payment and you reinstate your loan, which basically means that you're in good standing again with your servicer, then your credit should not be impacted, and they should not need to report that to the credit bureaus. Okay. However, if you, for some reason, don't have a plan in place for after the forbearance period happens or anything like that, then that's kind of where, you might get into some trouble if you're not actively kind of aware of what your mortgage is, where it is, what's being taken care of, is somebody, you got to be on top of it, You
got to be on top of it.
You'll get in trouble a little bit.
Yes. So have a plan and understand. Again, it goes back to understanding what you agreed to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of tools, websites, there's a lot of information going around. Besides, of course, getting in touch with you or some, their lender, whomever they've worked with, where can people go to learn more and really learn the facts to understand all that? Because it's not a free ticket. People do need to know what they're taking on, and where can they learn more?
Absolutely. So right now, what I want to point you to is 3 really great resources. So number one is forbearancereport.com. This is a really great, awesome website that's actually being networked and created by independent mortgage brokers all over the nation, coming in with, they're writing articles about it with questions they're getting from their actual clients. But there's about 20 frequently asked questions in terms of like, what do I have to do? What do I have to show? Who do I talk to? Like the where, when, why, hows of all you need to know about forbearance. So that's forbearancereport.com. And we'll link to everything, all the resources that I'm saying right now. The Federal Trade Commission also has a really great kind of breakdown of forbearance, what it is, what your options are, and then also check with Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, who are the government institutions that own about 50% of the nation's mortgages right now.
Okay.
They both on their own individual websites will have kind of like hand guides in terms of what you can do, what your options are. And you can actually check with each website, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, to see who owns your mortgage, to see what your options are. Because again, the rights under the CARE Act for you, if you have a federally insured loan, which is anything that's owned by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, USDA, VA, and FHA, you want to check to see who owns your loan to see what your rights are, and which is to the forbearance, and then also for a foreclosure moratorium.
Okay, that's good to know, because a lot of times, you get your mortgage, and then all of a sudden, what's that?
Yeah, it's like there's so much resources that I feel like we, as a mortgage advisor, like it's my duty, because I feel like the government, sometimes a lot of people right now are thinking that they don't have to make these payments,
Yes. That's what I'm hearing, some chatter where, people are like, oh, this is great. No problem. I can handle it, and at the end of the day, don't let it bite you 3 months from now, and then you're going to be in deep water. So, but the other great thing, the point that I got from what you just said was going back and making sure that you understand who is servicing your mortgage. So that's another thing people should think about. It's not necessarily the person you spoke to, because mortgages can be sold to other servicers, and usually they are.
Sometimes several times throughout the life of your loan, if you're in your home, you'll get that letter from your servicer saying, hey, we've sold your loan, and here's where to send your new payment to. And you can check it'll be on your mortgage statement, and usually in the top right corner, who to contact, their hours of operation and things like that. And so that'll have the phone number. And I will tell you, what I'm hearing from my clients is wake up early if you can, sometimes 4 a.m. and you may have to hold for like an hour and a half. Yes. But, that's really that just shows you how many, I think Mr. Cooper, who, is one of the nation's like largest servicers, processed like 80,000 forbearances last week. So
wow, 80,000. Yeah. Oh my. Yeah. So be prepared to be on hold. Yeah. But put it on speaker, make some bread. What else are we doing? I don't know. Sitting in our funny slippers, baking bread, and
binge a Netflix show while you're on hold.
Right, exactly. One thing we didn't really talk about when we were chatting about this conversation, but I'm really interested to learn about. And as we were chatting, I thought, hey, what about like a HELOC? If we're not seeing values dip at this time, at least not from where I'm sitting. So what if somebody says to themselves, okay, I might be in some financial trouble down the road, or how about that as a solution? If you've built some equity in your home, could you actually pull some out in order to continue making those payments? Would that be wise?
Absolutely. Because we've seen prices basically hold and be pretty stable.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would say if you need to access, however much, a couple $100,000 to have it set aside or whatever in the bank, a HELOC is a great solution just to tide you over in case, you've lost your job or something like that. And you just need to kind of get it through till, maybe fall or something, when hopefully we're all back by work, to work and things like that. But we're seeing a lot of people definitely using HELOCs right now as kind of a safety net, especially with, instead of pulling things out of the stock market for obvious reasons, those values have dropped. And so I think now too, you want to take advantage of the fact that values are being based off of 6 months prior. So we don't know where they're going to be, in the future or things like that. So if you need that and you should take action on that pretty quickly here.
Okay, good to know. Good. Yeah. Well, I feel like that's a lot of information for everybody. It's been about 15 minutes, and I feel like that was like fantastic, like master level class.
Yeah,
and,
we got a lot of like bullet points in there. I'm pleased. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, anything else you'd like to add while we're here and filming?
So I'd say number one, communicate. If you know in any way that you are going to be impacted, if you're going to have struggles making that payment, communicate with your servicer. Tell them now, give them a heads up, because they're going to be much more willing to work with you, have favorable terms. You might be more protected. It's just like you're going to be on their side working with them, and you probably, like in life in most cases, going to get farther if you comply, or at least positive. And we want to feel for the servicers too. I mean, they're having to hire a lot of new people who are reading scripts and maybe don't know exactly what they're doing, or even the people who are managing don't know, because they've just had to have so many new people and training and things like that. So I want everyone to just remember, let's communicate, let's have patience, and know that, we'll get into this together. And, Christine and I are huge resources for you. So I make myself available 24/7 to anyone who, just needs to kind of have a walkthrough, or kind of any questions about their mortgage and things like that.
That's excellent. Yeah, I do too. I was up 3 nights ago, 11:30 at night, texting with a client. I mean, I just happened to be up. It's not like I rolled out of bed, but I was watching Netflix, and she probably texted me, not realizing that I was there. She probably expected I would get it in the morning, and I was like, oh, sure, I mean, I was there and available, and I like to answer people's questions when they have them. It's on their mind. And I know for myself, if I've got something burning on my mind, it really sort of takes over a big space in my brain until I get resolution. So I realize that with my clients, a lot of times they're going to have big questions, and it's going to start to roll. And the minute I can just get in there and help them and guide them and walk them through something, the better they feel, and the better result down the end. So,
we're big hand holders. So, I mean, that's what I love about this whole process is I feel like I feel like I'm buying a home all over again with every new client kind of thing. And we get to kind of go through and again, take you through it. And even if we, going over things multiple times, and absolutely, because it's stressful, and we know, and I mean, this isn't the first time, the first crash in real estate kind of thing, or how it's been affected and things like that. And so, what it's like, and being there, and we really want to be leaders in our industry. So it's always a great opportunity when I thank you again for inviting me on.
Oh, of course. This is great. Yeah, you've been a wonderful resource, and this was a great conversation. So, well, we'll do it again. We'll, we'll continue the dialogue, and I'd like to continue this weekly. I'll be having all sorts of different people on every week, and just really rounding out, different subjects that I've been hearing from all sorts of different angles. So we will definitely have Zoe on again and chat some more. And enjoy the day. The sun is coming out. I was just in my backyard for a few minutes enjoying it. And even though we can't go running on the beach or go to our parks, at least we have this amazing weather to enjoy, in our respective spaces. And we're so blessed. Yeah. I mean, we could be in an apartment building someplace, or, someplace very different. So, I mean, that's why we do what we do, and we love what we do, because, we get to help people join us in this amazing environment, right? So
absolutely,
go enjoy it, Zoe.
I know. I find a little tip I just heard was 20 minutes on, 5 minutes off. So if you got to work or do focus, do 20 minutes, whatever you want to focus on. Then 5 minutes, go in your garden, go out back outside, or play with your kids or something like that,
just stand in the sun for a moment. Yeah. We're so blessed. All right. Thank you so much. This was a pleasure. And I just appreciate every word that came out of your mouth. We all needed to hear it. And awesome. We'll do this again.
Thanks. Thank you for having me, Christine. And of course, reach out to me, guys, with any questions. Christine will have all my information, and I'm just here to help. So use me as a resource.
All right. Bye, Zoe.
Bye, guys.